Hey everyone, welcome to Wax Pack Wisdom. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. Today I am going to be showing you my pickups from a recent estate sale auction. And this is a very special one for me personally. And I was so thrilled to be able to walk away with some great pre-war vintage cards, all graded, all SGC graded. And let me give you a little bit of background on this auction first. A couple weeks ago, Junk Wax Hero, Mike, you probably subscribe to him if you subscribe to this channel. He does a series called Attic Find Friday, and in his Attic Find Friday for that particular week, he posted about this auction that was taking place for a collection called the Harry O'Brien collection. And Mike did a great job with his video, so I'm going to give like a very short version of this auction, and then I'm going to kind of go through what I actually was able to get. And then I'll talk a little bit about, at the end, about some of the stuff I learned today when I went to go pick up the cards in person. So Harry O'Brien passed away, I believe it was in late 2022. And he had a collection of sports cards from before 1940, as well as original comic books of Superman and Batman, and also cards, like comic book cards as well. This was an astounding collection. And there was, literally, so 300 1909, T206 cards, 48 Hall of Fame players in this auction, a complete 1911 Mecca Double Folders series cards. There were literally hundreds of 1933 and 1934 Goudeys cards in this, including a Babe Ruth, Gehrig. There was a ton of T205s. There was Philadelphia Caramels, which is what you see here, the Maddie McIntyre card. And I'm gonna get right into that in a minute. There were cards from Christy Mathewson. There were 1934 exhibits. Not only that, on top of that, there were ticket stubs. There was an original 1912 Red Sox ticket stubs, including two from the very first game ever played at Fenway Park in April of 1912. Can you believe that? Those went up for bid. There were other trading cards. They were all SGC graded. There were Mecca Athletic Champions, Lone Ranger cards, Goudeys Indian cards, Horrors of War. There was a Sweet Caporal Fish series. There were these like Max Sennett, comic film cards. And then, like I said, there were these original early issue Batman and Superman comics that were graded by CGC. And there was a lot of other stuff too. There was foreign currency. So there were, Little Orphan Annie items. There was Tom Mix items. There was all of this stuff from before the 20th, but like the first part of the 20th century. And so a little bit of the background is that this gentleman, Harry O'Brien, left this incredible collection. A lot of the collection were things that his father had collected. His father served in World War I and World War II. His name was, I believe, was Daniel O'Brien, and then his son carried on the collection. So he passes away the end of last year, and he leaves this collection behind to be auctioned off. And his request was that the cards be auctioned off to the benefit of the University of New Hampshire Scholarship Fund, that all of the proceeds, the profits, would go to the UNH Scholarship Fund. I am a UNH grad, and I graduated in 2009, and I certainly depended on scholarships and financial aid to be able to go to college. So when Mike posted this video about this auction, I knew that I really wanted to participate in one way or another. So I went on, and it was a bit of a unique situation. So all of the auction was held through this local auction house called Paul McInnes LLC, based in Northampton, New Hampshire. And you could pre-bid on items up until this past Saturday. But Saturday was the actual auction, and it was a live virtual auction where there were people in the room that were bidding, like your sort of classic auction. And Paul McInnes was the auctioneer, and he did an amazing job. This was a long day. This was like 8 hours that they did this auction. And you could place your bids. You could, You could, bid online, and the bidding got pretty crazy on a lot of cards. I will tell you that there was a really gorgeous Babe Ruth 1933 Goudy Babe Ruth in an SGC3 that went for $17,000. The Philadelphia Caramel Cobb card in this set went for $6,200. And then right around that, like $15,000, $14,000 was how much some of these original comic books went for too. So just amazing stuff. So I was able to come away with 5 pre-war vintage cards. And also, I'll just mention that I also got some nice gemstones for Abby, for my wife, our co-founder here. So she's very happy about that. But I came away with 5 cards, and they're all very special to me. And so I want to get into the pickups, and then I'll talk a little bit about the experience that I had, some of the stuff I learned today at the when I went to go pick up the stuff at the auction house. So we're going to start. I'm going to show you this. This is a 1909 Philadelphia Caramel Maddie McIntyre. This is the E95 set. I really wanted to try to grab a card from this set, and I was really glad to get this one in particular, which was not too expensive. And I'm trying to get better about saying what I actually paid for stuff. But I will say, I spent $100 total between the auction and the buyer's premium on this. And this is a card that comps for about $200. So I was very thrilled to get it for that price. Maddie McIntyre, just as a quick history, was an outfielder for the Tigers for about the first 12 years of their existence in the American League. The American League started in 1901. And he was a left fielder, and he played alongside 2 Hall of Famers in the outfield, of course, Ty Cobb, and in center field, and Wahoo Sam Crawford in right field. I tried to bid and did not end up spending enough money to get the Wahoo Sam Crawford card in this set, which I would have loved to have gotten. But I settled for the Maddie McIntyre. So he was a great player. He played in 3 World Series. The 07, or I actually don't think he played in the 07 World Series, but 08 and 09. I think 08 was his best year. He, I believe, led the league in runs scored that year. And then, his career kind of tailed off after that. And he ended up dying relatively young. One thing interesting about him was that he, like a lot of guys on the Tigers, was not really a fan of Ty Cobb's. So it's a really gorgeous card. It's a gorgeous example. You see there's some marks on it, but really, you see all the corners and stuff there. This is a more difficult set from this sort of T206 era. You don't see them as much. So I was really keen to try to get my hands on one of them. And I'm just going to show you the back as well really quickly here. It has a checklist, basically, of all of the cards in this set. And you can see there that it's made by the Philadelphia Caramel Company, which was actually based in Camden, New Jersey, right across the water there. And then look at the names on the back here. And those are the names you think they are. That's Honus Wagner was the first card in the set. Fred Merkel, famous of the Merkel's Boner. Chief Bender. You see the Maddie McIntyre card there. Ty Cobb. Wahoo Sam Crawford. Christy Mathewson. Eddie Seacott, of course, of the Black Sox. He was with the Red Sox at the time. Bill Kerrigan. You've seen my T206 of his. Johnny Evers. Frank Chance. And also Eddie Plank and Eddie Collins. I bid on the Eddie Collins card in this set as well. I didn't end up getting it. But anyway, so there you go. That was the first card that I picked up. Really thrilled with this 1909 Philadelphia Caramel Maddie McIntyre card. Okay, so that's number 1. The second card is a Hall of Famer that I picked up that I saw it and I'm like, I gotta have it. It's a T206 Sweet Cap 1911 T206 of Hall of Famer Joe Tinker, bat on shoulder. I mentioned that I prefer these cards from this era in the sort of action look as opposed to the portrait look, and you see the great color on this. Obviously, it got the 1.5 because of the creasing that you see kind of on the middle right part of the card. But you see the gorgeous color, the sunset in the background, the bat on the shoulder of Joe Tinker, again Hall of Famer. This is my second, and both from the same year of T206 Sweet Cap. I have my Zach Wheat card, and then we'll show you the back here again. This is a Sweet Cap back. You see it's like the baseball series, 350 to 460 subjects, so this is sort of one of the later sets, and it looks like it's a 1911 card. Joe Tinker, Hall of Famer with the Cubs, of course, part of the famous double play combination. He was the one that started it, Tinker to Evers to Chance. Fun fact, he and Johnny Evers hated each other. They got into a fist fight on the field. As interesting as it was that they were, part of this like famous double play combination, they couldn't stand each other. When Johnny Evers became the manager a few years later, Joe Tinker said, "Screw that, you have to trade me." They ended up trading him to the Reds. He spent some time in the Federal League as well, and then made the Hall of Fame years later, towards the end of his life in the late 1940s. But anyway, that's Joe Tinker for you. So really nice T206. I got in on the Goudey action as well. And I got picked up another Hall of Famer. This is Fred Lindstrom. This is technically his rookie card, the 1933 Goudey set. Most of the cards in the set are rookie cards. So technically, this is a Hall of Fame rookie card for Fred Lindstrom. So this is going to go right in my Hall of Fame rookie card collection, and it's going to also go alongside the Jim Bottomley that I have that you saw in a PSA grade reveal video. Fred Lindstrom is definitely a lesser Hall of Famer. But I saw this card and I figured it was a good price. I got this for $130, which is right around what the comps are. And you kind of see the back there, and it tells a little bit of the story about how he signed with the Giants. He was eventually traded to Pittsburgh. He's a Chicago guy, still lived there at this point. And then, he made the Hall of Fame years later. But a lot of years with the Giants, years playing with the playing for John McGraw, sort of the latter stage of his career. 6 times batted over 300. Ranked with the best in fielding, started as a third baseman, moved to the outfield. And like I said, lesser Hall of Famer, but a Hall of Famer nonetheless, and a Hall of Fame rookie card. I wanted to really sort of jump at the chance to get that card. Okay, so for the next 2 cards, I'm going to have to slightly adjust the camera, because they are bigger cards, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I made a slight adjustment to the camera here, not too much, but I came away in this auction as well with 2 of these 1934 exhibits 4-on-1 cards. They had a couple of them that had the ones that had Babe Ruth. He's sort of in the top left corner and he's sort of looking up at the sky. Lou Gehrig, Bill Dickey, and I think Lefty O'Doul were all on those cards. So those went for a lot of money, as you can imagine. I was really interested initially in getting one of these 4-on-1s that had. It was a Tigers one that had Mickey Cochran, Charlie Gehringer, and why can't I remember the other one? There were 3 Hall of Famers. Goose Goslin was the other one. Yeah, and those went for more than I really wanted. So I ended up getting this and the next one instead. So this one has 3 Hall of Famers on it. You've heard me already talk about Jim Bottomley and Chick Hafey. Of course, I have Jim Bottomley's 33 Goudey rookie card. I have Chick Hafey's 1932 U.S. Caramel card. Tony Pyatt also there. I have one of his Diamond Stars cards from that era. So I'm I'm going to talk about him at some point on the channel as well. And then you see there, Bocce Lombardi. I guess I didn't realize that Ernie Lombardi's nickname was Bocce, but I guess it was. Ernie Lombardi, one of the best catchers of the 1930s into the 1940s. Eventually, many years later, I believe it was after he died, he made it into the Hall of Fame. A superb hitting catcher. It was like a 300 hitter regularly, and was a great catcher as well. So really liked that aspect of this, to be able to get my hands on this card. This is my first playing days Ernie Lombardi card. Very strangely, Ernie Lombardi has one of the longest entries in the Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract, that where he ranks all the players at every position. I don't know why, but he had a very interesting life and career, so I guess that was why. Let me just show you the back on these really quickly. They're clean except for, it looks like somebody wrote check on the back at some point or something like that, which, whatever, it didn't end up hurting the grade at all. But anyway, this, like I said, this came back as a 2. And after I missed out on the Gehringer card with Goslin and Cochran, I figured I would snap this up. And then the last card. Oh, and I by the way, I believe I spent with the buyer's premium thing, it was about $115 on this, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what the comps were with that. The last one, really quickly, I bought one with the the last 4-in-1 with the St. Louis Browns on there. I don't really know anything about 3 of the players on this: Raleigh Helmsley, Irvin Hadley, Malillo. I don't really know. This was not a great era for the St. Louis Browns. There weren't very many good eras for the St. Louis Browns. But this one, in the top left-hand corner here, is listed as Irving Burns. His actual name was Jack Burns. If you know me, if you know who I am, you know my background, you know my history, you know that I have a connection to the man on this card known as Irving Burns. But I'm not going to get into that on today's episode. That will be for a later episode. So stay tuned on that. But just understand that there is a connection that I have to that person. And again, if you know me, you know what that connection is. But for now, we'll leave it at that. And it's something very cool, and it's something that very much excited me about wanting to buy this card. It was the exact reason why I bought this card, which, by the way, I believe I spent about $80 total on this card. This is a tough set, and the same thing. This has that same writing on the back that says check, I believe. So, all right, so we'll get into that more later. But so for the time being, I'm gonna put these up here. You're gonna see them in the background, and I'm gonna talk a little bit. So I actually went today. This is Monday. I'm recording this. I went to Northampton, New Hampshire, and I actually picked up these cards in person. It was they did have an option to ship them, but it would have been pretty complicated from what I understand. So I ended up kind of just taking some time out from work this afternoon, and I drove up to Northampton, New Hampshire from my house. It wasn't too far to go pick up the items. So when I was there, I spoke briefly to Paul McInnes, the proprietor of the auction house, as well as his wife Priscilla. They were lovely people, and they did a great job with this auction. It was a lot of work. Like I said, it was a lot of hours. It was, whatever it was, like 8 hours of this auction, just like craziness. And they did a really great job with all of it. And so I spoke to them briefly. And at the beginning of the auction, they showed a picture of what the cards that they received looked like when they got them and how they got them. I'm going to try to toss the picture that I took of the picture today up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see right there, the cards were relatively neatly organized in a shoebox. This is how they got these cards. And you can see also they did sell, you see that's like a Mecca cigarettes box. You can see there that was part of what they sold as well. They had like the boxes and tins of old cigarettes and tobacco that were part of this as well. But then, yeah, you look at all of those cards that are in there. I'm assuming at the top there, those are all of the cigarette cards, all of the tobacco cards, the caramel cards, and then the Goudeys and everything else just right in there. And think about that. That's how they got this. Like the Babe Ruth card stuff is in there. And the cards are in great condition for having just been in like a shoebox for all of these years. So incredible stuff. And I spoke to Priscilla, to the wife of the owner, and she said that when they first got the cards, they kind of didn't really know at this auction house what to do with them. They were not experts in cards, in trading cards, and they kind of took everything out of that box by hand and put them all out all over the conference room table that they had in there. Priscilla told me that Paul and their son personally hand delivered all of these cards to SGC in Boca Raton, Florida. They noted the security at the SGC facility in Boca Raton, which I'm not surprised by. They have an astounding operation there, I'm sure. And said that at first they wanted to speak to some people there and sort of get maybe more of an idea of what they had, and they were eventually allowed to go in and speak to folks. But I asked how much money they thought they had raised for the university in the auction. They didn't know yet. Hopefully that information will come out. Yeah, so this was an amazing experience for me personally. I felt so good to be able to buy these cards. I intend to keep all of these. I intend to keep these in my long-term collection. And it made me feel so good to be able to buy these cards and have the money go towards the scholarship fund for the university that I attended, that allowed me to have the life that I have so that I can afford these cards. And again, I needed scholarships and financial aid to go to college. And so the fact that I paid for these cards and I bought these cards, and that money is going to go towards somebody being able to get the kind of education that I got, is a great feeling. And that was the whole reason why we started Wax Pack Wisdom in the first place. I always talk about the list of nonprofits and charities that we have. The whole reason why we started this, and the whole reason why I started opening cards of packs of cards and talking about old cards in the first place, was to use it as a vehicle to raise awareness for good causes. And I hope as we continue to grow the YouTube channel here, we can continue to do that. And I hope that is the case. So it made me feel amazing to be part of this auction, to buy these cards and have the money go towards that good cause. So anyway, really thrilled with these pickups. I'll put in a link to the Harry O'Brien auction as well, so that you can see what the lots were, what they went for, and you'll be stunned if you are an aficionado of vintage baseball, pre-war baseball. You will be stunned, and you'll be stunned at the breadth of the collection of all of these. Like I said, this was a time capsule of what it must have been like to live in the United States of America in the first half of the 20th century, because it just is endless how much stuff there was. So that's going to do it for this edition of Wax Pack Wisdom. Tell me what you thought of all of these cards. What's your favorite one? Do you have a story about one of these players? Like I told you, I have a story about one of these players, but that story is going to wait until the right time. We'd love to hear it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought of these pickups. How do you think we did? Check out the auction. Tell us, did you get anything in this auction? We'd love to hear it. We'd love to know what you got. If you enjoyed this video, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Wax Pack Wisdom content. In the video description, you can find links to where you can follow Wax Pack Wisdom on all social media channels. You'll also find a link to a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities, as I mentioned. If you enjoyed this video, please consider a donation to one of them. It would mean a lot to us. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time on Wax Pack Wisdom. Take care.